Yep. No, I have reached today. Yeah, today morning. How are you? No, we can have that meeting. No problem. Okay. Okay. See you.
Phone. So, Bhaiya, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. How was your tour?
Good. Very good. Successful.
So, did you find what you were looking for?
Yes. I was fortunate enough to get just the right story that I was looking for. And let me tell you, Sunera, it was very, very stunning and humbling experience.
Really?
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
I will tell you. Have some patience. But you first tell me, how is your social work going about?
But how your story has any concern with my social work?
First you answer me, then you will get your answer.
Bhaiya, now you're talking in riddles, huh? Anyways, my social work is going on fine. I mean, it's pretty okay.
Is it really so?
Yeah.
Are you totally satisfied, Sunena?
As far as the question of total satisfaction is concerned, you know, Bhaiya, it's very difficult to achieve this satisfaction. But I think we are able to achieve our partial aim. But to tell you honestly, I think it's still not enough. I mean, I do feel frustrated about it sometimes.
And why is it so?
Often I have felt, Bhaiya, that whatever help we have provided to the poor and needy people is still not enough. I think it just gives the temporary solution. It is very difficult to break the chain of their continuous misery.
And again, why is it so?
Well, maybe because the assistance and the help we provide to them is just partial. We miss out many areas which do require important assistance. And the lack of this overall assistance creates a wide gap in the process of effective and proper rehabilitation.
Now you have hit the nail on its head. The story I covered in Kerala actually deals with this important issue of bridging this wide gap and aims at providing the proper, effective and exhaustive rehabilitation package for the real downtrodden section of the society, the destitute.
The destitute. So tell me about your story then.
Okay. As you know, the state that I covered was Kerala. Kerala's development is often hailed for its equity and is cited as an example of what mass mobilization and public action can achieve in interaction with responsive democratic governments. The state has achieved excellent coverage of basic minimum services. In fact, from the entitlement point of view as well as the capability point of view, the state has performed better in comparison with other states in its tackling the problem of poverty. Kerala's recent initiatives in democratic decentralization have thrown up several good development practices, the most outstanding of which is Kudumba Shri.
Kudumba Shri is the state poverty eradication mission of the government of Kerala. The decentralized plan campaign started in 1996 and Kudumba Shri started in 1998. The Kudumba Shri, popularly, it means basically well-being of family. Now, while we are the mission at the state level, which is a registered society, at every local self-government, that is a Gram Panchayat and municipality, municipal corporation, there is what is known as a CDS, a Community Development Society. And this is a networked organization of women neighborhood groups which have been federated and brought together as a society. This is a society which is embedded in the local self-governments and which is working in tandem as a community structure of local governments for A, articulating community need, and B, also working as an agency for dissemination of both programs and policies and implementation of schemes. Today comprises 37 lakh women in 200,000 neighborhood groups. Now, this number does not mean anything until you look at 36 lakh families are represented in this system, and this 37 lakh is actually against a total population of 68 lakh families in Kerala. So, we are talking of a community structure which covers more than 50% of the population of Kerala, and it reaches out to every single panchayat ward in the state. So, that's the kind of sweep Kudumbashree has.
Bhaiya, this was really heartening and satisfying to hear all this. So, you covered the success of Kudumbashree program and its implementation, right?
Yes, you are right. But I did not stop there. I decided to venture into it more deeply.
And what did you find?
I found out that the planners were not fully satisfied with the outcome of Kudumbashree.
Why?
The planners came to the conclusion that though Kudumbashree had a significant impact on poverty reduction, yet it was felt that an integrated approach to poverty reduction could have achieved more. It was found that there were still some outliners who had not benefited from the anti-poverty projects of local self-governments, the poorest of the poor, the destitutes.
While we say that we've got 50% plus of representation of the state's population, it still remains a fact that the bottom 2 to 3%, the extremely poor, the poor who are not able to find money for microcredit, the poor who are not able to, who lead even worse than a subsistence life, they are not even part of the subsistence economy, those poor are missing, and they cannot come into a self-help program. So, there you need to be proactive, reach out to them. The problem is also compounded by the fact that they are invisible. They are not a vote bank, they are likely to have APL ration cards, they are likely not to be on any voters list. So, this makes it even more difficult to reach out to them, and also to make a government really sit up and take notice. But the fact remains that for a poverty eradication mission, this would be your primary and most important clientele. So, a lot of proactive governments who were doing well in service delivery and programs for the poor were brought together, and they were taken through this process of, are we really reaching out to them? And that was the beginning of Ashraya.
And based on this assessment, it was decided to introduce the concept of anti-poverty sub-plan in all local governments, under which a participatory micro-level planning would be done by the 3-tier community-based organization of Kudumbashree, which would be adopted by the local government. It was further decided that the social strength of the community-based organization could be utilized to extend social security in its widest sense to the ultra-poor. And this gave birth to Ashraya, a project of hope for the excluded, as the distinct component of the anti-poverty sub-plan.
Bhaiya, sorry to interrupt you, but a question has cropped up in my mind.
Yeah, what do you want to know?
I've been continuously hearing this word destitutes, the poorest of the poor. That I know, but tell me something. How you are able to identify the real destitutes?
Yes, you have a very pertinent question. In fact, the planners also had foreseen this problem. And while planning, they came up with an identification process which is unique to this Ashraya project. They went behind the real sense of the concept of the term destitute. So now, Sunena, you can yourself see that the planners were on the right track. They evolved a criteria and used it in a two-stage manner. Initially, 9 categories are utilized. No land less than 10 cents of land. No house living in dilapidated house. No drinking water facilities within 300 meters. No sanitary toilet. No employment to any person in the family. Employment for less than 10 days a month. Woman-headed family, widow, abandoned woman, presence of unwed mother in the family, presence of physically, mentally challenged or chronically ill member in the family, family belonging to SC, ST, and presence of an adult illiterate member. Families attracting 7 or more indicators are subject to another list of 5 special indicators for rural areas and for urban areas respectively. Special indicators for rural areas. Living in Purambok land, forest land, side bunds of canals and paddy fields, etc. Spending the night time in public places, streets or in the verandas of shops for sleeping. Having no healthy member to win bread for the family. Resorting to beggary as a vocation. Having women subjected to atrocities. And having children below the age of 14 who work to earn money for the family. Special indicators for urban areas. Spending the nights in streets and public places, resorting to beggary as vocation, having no earning member below the age of 60, having women subjected to atrocities, having street children, children in juvenile home or poor home, working children below the age of 14, having commercial sex workers, having women members who live in Abala Mandiram and living in slums. If a family attracts at least one of these special indicators in addition to the 7 or more from the first set, it is classified as destitute family.
That is all okay, Bhaiya. But can you tell me something about this whole process of implementation?
You are absolutely right. The whole mechanism of this implementation process of Ashraya carries a unique aspect with it. As you know, Ashraya follows the principle of empowerment of the poorest of the poor. This is sought to be achieved through the principle of self-help combined with support from organizations of the poor themselves. While in most parts of the country, self-help group networks function parallel to elected local governments, Ashraya seeks to invoke the leadership of elected local governments even while guarding the flexibility and autonomy of a community-based organization. The strategy of bringing about synergy between elected local governments and the organization of the poor is fundamental to Ashraya. The whole process of Ashraya started off with a demand-based approach. Initially, elected heads of village panchayats were sensitized on issues affecting the ultra-poor. Panchayats which were willing to take up the difficult and sensitive task of improving the livelihoods of such people accept the continuous responsibility and meet at least 75% of the cost of the project were identified for piloting the project. A 3-stage training program at the state, district and local levels is organized to explain the parameters for selecting destitute families. This training program covers elected leaders, officials and key volunteers from each neighborhood group of Kudumbashree. Thereafter, utilizing the network of the poor families, preliminary identification of probable destitute families is done by special groups of trained volunteers from each neighborhood group. Then, under the leadership of the Area Development Society, the shortlisted households are visited by these teams, often accompanied by the elected ward member, which interact with the families. After ensuring that the families come within the definition of destitution, their multiple needs are identified. First comes the survival need, that is food, health, pension and education. Next comes the infrastructure need, that is land for house, new house, shelter upgradation, sanitary facilities, drinking water and electrification. The focus is then on development need, that is awareness creation for employment, skill development, accessing employment opportunities, livelihood for sustenance, and lastly, but more importantly, the psychological need, that is building of confidence, social inclusion and safety.
I'm very impressed by all the research that went into planning of this Ashraya project. All this is fine, but I want to know how would the identified destitute manage to come out of their cycle of misery?
Let me tell you, Surana, as I have already told you, Ashraya means in its literal sense shelter, in its broader sense refuge. This project, I must add now, that didn't provide refuge to the destitute families only, but over a period of time has brought about a total transformation in their lives.
Bhaiya, what do you mean by extended period?
Extended period. This project doesn't provide relief to the destitutes once, temporary relief. We don't believe in temporary relief. This project provides relief to destitute families for over a period of 2 to 4 years so that they can reach